Hi students, how are you? And welcome back to the class. So, welcome you all to the channel of Unacademy Humanities. And hi everyone, I'm Barsha Mukherjee, and I can see so many of you are already here. Hello everyone, good evening, a very warm good evening to all of you. And first of all, tell me, how are you all? सब लोग कैसे हो? So this is Barsha Mukherjee and I am back with one more class on Unacademy Humanities channel. I'm your geography expert and I teach classes 11th and 12th, and today we are going to talk all and everything about earthquakes. So yesterday we had a very wonderful session on volcanoes, classification of volcanoes, types of volcanoes, landforms, intrusive, etc. And today, continuing that, we are going to talk about the earthquake, right? So this is a topic from the chapter Interior of the Earth from our book Fundamentals of Human Geography. Fundamentals of Physical Geography, right? So, Fundamentals of Physical Geography, class 11th, and the chapter is Interior of the Earth, and the topic is earthquake. So, all about earthquake, all you need to know about earthquake. So, everyone, are you excited? Because I am. I sure am very excited because this is going to be a very wonderful session. So yeah, stay with me till the end. And hello Pavan, hello Shriyanshi, hi Khushbu, good evening Fazil, good evening Abhijit, good evening Mohammed Ashraf, and I don't know, Meet. Good evening, all of you. And also, if you're sending me, messages in the live chat box, then it reaches a bit late. There's always a lag, so yes, please wait for a few seconds until it reaches me, and then I will definitely reply to all your messages. So yes everyone, before we start the session, since it's a channel of Unacademy, you all should be aware that Unacademy actually has a full-fledged app on which there are many classes are going on, and Unacademy Plus subscription is a feature which is related to that. So if you are enjoying the free classes, which are not many, but if you're enjoying these classes, then you surely will enjoy the plus or the iconic classes because they are regular in nature. And here the top educators from all over the country, they provide you with so much, along with an exhaustive coverage of the syllabus. You are provided with doubt solving sessions, live test series, answer writing sessions, mentorship, study material, notes, and whatnot. So lots and lots of batches are starting, live batches are starting, and some have already started in the month of July, some are about to start in the month of August, and as the session proceeds, I will tell you about the new batches that are beginning or about to begin, so that if you are interested, you can also join. There is Iconic as well, which also provides you with a personal mentor and weekly reports, etc. So these are some of the features, and of course, because we know the recent pattern of the CBSE examination, Unacademy is always updated. It is up to date, and we provide the students with all sort of benefits like MCQ series, sample papers, etc. So as we proceed, I will give you more details on the topic, but before that, again I would like to remind that today we are going to talk about earthquakes, right? So those who have a doubt that why, from where did this topic come, so this is a topic which is from the chapter Interior of the Earth. I'm sure most of you already know, Interior of the Earth. So that is a chapter number 3 from the book Fundamentals of Human Geography. And today we are going to talk about one specific topic, earthquake, and it is going to be interesting because we're going to learn so much, because this is just one session about earthquakes, right? I see 5 students are here right now. As we started the class, as soon as we started the class, I see so many students are already here. So students, if you are watching the class, go ahead, like the class. Also, definitely interact with me. Hi Deepak, I am good. How are you? So please go ahead, like the video, and also share it with your friends. Tell them that okay, वर्षा मैम इज हियर, उनको बता दो कि भाई जो है वर्षा मैम क्लास ले रही है एंड शी इज टीचिंग अर्थक्वेक, राइट? सो एनीवे, कमिंग बैक, वेल, coming back to the topic, earthquake. So firstly, what is an earthquake? है ना? When we see ma'am screen is not visible clear, that is because Pawan, check your clarity, resolution of the quality of the video. If it is on 144p, then you won't be able to see it clearly. Put it on auto mode or put it on 360 to 480p, then you will be able to see it clearly. East or west, best? Barsha ma'am is best. Thank you Deepak, thanks a lot, thank you so much, that's so sweet. Anyway, earthquake. So earthquake क्या है? So we generally see that a sudden shaking of the earth. So in a layman language, in a very ordinary term, we can say that sudden shaking of the earth. When the earth suddenly shakes. So sudden shaking of the earth. Okay. But the problem is that how does the earth shake suddenly? How do you think the earth shakes suddenly? So we realize that our earth is actually divided in many layers. Many as in 3 layers. है ना? So we can see that there are 3 layers inside the earth. The first layer is crust. Second one is mantle. We all know this, of course. And the third one is core. The third layer is core. Correct? So our earth is divided into 3 different layers: crust, mantle and core. And we also realize that the crust on the earth, inside the earth, the crustal part of the earth is actually not a single piece. It is made up of rocks and minerals, but it is not in single piece. It is actually divided in different blocks. It is divided into different rock pieces. So all the rocks that we, solid part on the surface of the earth that we see, they are very brittle in nature, easily breakable in nature, and therefore most of these rocks have broken down into several pieces. They are huge pieces of rocks, and these pieces or the rock blocks are known as, these rock blocks were given the term tectonic plates. Correct? पता है सभी को? These were called as tectonic plates. Right? So tectonic plates. These tectonic plates, because they are independently moving, freely moving. Now you will be wondering that how are they moving? So we see that under this layer of the crust, there lies a molten zone. क्या है? एक molten zone है, एक molten layer है. Okay, there lies a molten layer, very hot layer of magma. ठीक है, a very hot molten layer of magma. This layer is known as asthenosphere, which also means weak. The layer means weak, asthenosphere. Correct? So asthenosphere is the layer which lies on the upper part of the mantle. Mantle's upper portion is occupied by a very weak zone, a semi-molten portion, which is known as asthenosphere, which is magma, which is very hot and molten, semi-molten in nature. And on the top of this layer, all our rock blocks, all the tectonic plates move, they float. Simple. So on this, they are floating, they are moving. Now since they are floating, what happens? They move freely in any direction. Sometimes they move away from each other. For example, these are two rocks, these are two plates. Sometimes they move away from each other. Sometimes they move towards each other. So see, two phenomena take place. When the rock blocks move away from each other, then they form volcanoes, जिसके बारे में हमने कल पढ़ा, right? We studied about it. So those who are in this present in this class and are wondering कि अच्छा कल कौन सी class थी, so simply what you can do is you can simply go and find Barsha Mukherjee. देखो on the bottom of your screen you can find this, so you can simply go check Barsha Mukherjee volcanoes, or you can simply find on Unacademy Humanities channel geography volcano. Yesterday there was a class, so you can go and see that whole chapter. So go through it, you will definitely benefit a lot. So when two plates move away from each other, they form volcanoes. But when two plates move towards each other, जब दो plates एक दूसरे की तरफ आने लगती है, then they collide. And then what happens? When two plates were moving, and they all of a sudden collide with each other, there is sudden reaction that takes place. So there is a shaking of earth, the vibration of these plates, which generates different waves. Vibrations are generated, right? Just like when we throw a stone in the middle of a water body, we see ripples being generated and spreading out, right? They are waves. Similarly, when two plates they collide with each other, they vibrate, and these vibrations, because of these vibrations, waves are generated which move away from each other, and they generally spread out, right? So this is how earthquake generate. This is how earthquake takes place. Clear? So do you understand how earthquakes occur? Right? So there is a sudden shaking. When is there a sudden shaking? Especially when two plates are moving towards each other, they collide, and then there is vibration, and that vibration leads to the generation of waves, and these waves reach to the surface of the earth, and they create such shaking of the earth, which is known as earthquake. Simple? Now it sounds very simple, I am very sure, right? अभी लग रहा है ना कि अरे ये तो बहुत simple था, हमें तो पता ही नहीं था. अच्छा ऐसा भी होता है क्या? So yes, right. So earthquake is what happens when two blocks of earth suddenly slip past one another. And also we see that, see, these are big rock blocks that are broken. So of course their edges are not very, edges are rough, isn't it? They're not very smooth edges. So rough edges, when they collide with each other, or when they slip past against each other, what happens? So we see generally then I can say there is some kind of friction that is there in between them, which also leads to such kind of earthquakes. So the region where exactly the two blocks collide with each other or slip past against each other, that surface is called as a fault or fault plane, right? So any region inside the earth, in the interior of the earth, where two plates collide with each other is called the fault plane, and the perfect point, the location inside the earth where the actual action takes place, from where the earthquake starts, is known as focus or hypocenter. So where example you can see this is the surface of the earth. Along this line earthquake has taken place. Earthquake has taken place along this line, right? Just a minute, I'll just clear it out so that you can see it clearly. Okay, so along this line two plates have collided, so this is called as the fault plane, and this region where the actual earthquake started from is known as focus or hypocenter. Once there is a collision and the earthquake has started in the interior of the earth, the vibrations or the waves, right? Waves are generated. These waves move perpendicularly towards the surface like this, and Once the waves reach the surface, the point where it reaches first, the point where the waves reach the surface is known as epicenter. The point where it reaches first is known as epicenter. So there are two things that you need to remember. Fault plane, the exact place where two plates collide with each other. This is number one plate. This is number two plate. Right? Now the plates are colliding here. So this plane or iska ye wala plane is known as a fault plane. Correct? Now once imagine the first collision took place here at this point and at this point. So this point which is inside the earth will be known as focus or hypocenter. Now from the focus the waves will travel to the surface of the earth, and the point where it reaches first, the point where the waves reaches the first is known as epicenter. Now these are some MCQ based questions which might come in your exam. हो सकता है in your exam they will give you this diagram and they will keep this place blank and ask you to write that what is this region called. So then you will have to know. Right? Yes, Pawan. Focus and epicenter. Correct. Is that clear to all of you? Do you have any doubts? कि ये समझ नहीं आया, कि रुको जरा सब्र करो मैम, धीरे धीरे पढ़ाओ, हमको तो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, ऐसा है क्या किसी के साथ? Is there any such thing? Please do let me know. Right? So earthquake, we studied that basically when the plates move, right, and they collide with each other, then what happens? Then there is a certain kind of vibration that generates waves, and the waves, when they move outside, they move towards they actually expand, and those waves cause shaking, which is called earthquake. The place where the first impact takes place is called as fault plane, and the place where from where the earthquake starts in the inside of the earth is called hypocenter, and once from the hypocenter the waves moves particularly towards the surface, and there it is known as epicenter. Correct. Now again same question, what causes earthquakes and where do they happen? So we just discussed the very same thing, like earth has three layers: crust, mantle and core. And we also see that so crust, mantle and core. Core can be again broadly divided into two more types, that is outer core and inner core. Okay, we see that the outer core is in liquid form and the inner core is in solid form. Okay, so that is why we divide them further, outer and inner core. But rather we can also call them only three types of layers: crust, mantle, core. Now as we know, the crust is broken into several rock blocks, big, small, ऐसा करके बहुत सारे rock blocks हैं, है ना? There are several rock blocks. It is broken into several pieces like this, and these rock blocks are floating. This whole portion is floating on a layer, semi-molten layer, right, of magma, semi-molten layer, which is very hot and is known as asthenosphere. See, so these layers are floating on the asthenosphere, and these rock blocks are called as tectonic plates, and the zone where the maximum action takes place, the maximum activity takes place, are the boundaries of the plate. Of course, see, this is one plate, this is another plate. Now if this and this plate collides with each other, where do you think the maximum impact will happen? Here on the boundaries only. So we see that the plate boundaries or the edges of the plates where the maximum activity takes place is known as the plate boundary, and therefore we also need to study the different types of boundaries. Right? Can anyone in this here in this class tell me about the plate boundaries. Hello Suesh, how are you? Good evening. एक्सप्लेन फॉल प्लेन. ओके सौम्या, आपके हुक्म सराखों पर अभी एक्सप्लेन करते हैं. एनीवन, एनीथिंग एल्स? कैन यू ऑल टेल मी व्हाट आर द different types of plate boundaries? While I am expecting answer for this, I will again explain plate fault plane, right? So see, two rock blocks or two tectonic plates are colliding with each other. The zone where the collision happens is known as the fault plane. ये और ये portion fault plane है. That's all. Simple. देखो, this is one plate. Oh, sorry. So in YouTube you have to actually start the pen. You have to again go and use that function for a pen. Otherwise they change the slide. So these are two plates. See, two different plates. Now, this region where the activity is taking place, where the actual action is going on, here on this is one और इसका वाला. So these are the fault plane where the activity takes place, where the actual collision takes place. Clear? So that is fault plane. Okay, any doubts? Now moving on. So we just read that plate boundaries are the regions which is of the place of the maximum activity, है ना, जहाँ पर maximum activities हमको देखने को मिलती है, that is a plate boundary. Okay. Moving on, as we were talking about the plate boundaries, we also come across this that shows that there are different types of plates, है ना, बहुत सारे अलग अलग तरह के plates हैं. There are different plates. Some are major plates, very big plates, and some are very minor plates, right? कुछ बहुत ही major plates हैं और कुछ बहुत ही minor plates हैं. Like if we talk about the names of the plates, so we see that North American plate, South American plate, African plate, Eurasian plate, Indonesian plate, है ना, Indonesian plate, and we can see Indonesian, Indo-Australian plate, and Pacific plate, Antarctica plate, right? Antarctic plate, and apart from that, there are also some minor plates that we get to see, like the plates such as Nazca plate, Cocos plate, Caribbean plate, right? I can also say Arabian plate, Philippines plate, right? So these are some of the little plates, and this is the actual setting of the plates that you can see. Right, देखो, this region, I'll just change the color. Okay, so see, this whole orange portion is actually the African plate. This whole violet, or I don't know what color, this is South American plate, right? This whole region is the North American plate. Just imagine how big this North American plate is, right? And we see that these plates are very freely moving, and you can see that in between these plates there is the Atlantic Ocean lies. So Atlantic Ocean does not have a plate of its own, but it lies on different plates, right? So these are the plates, and as they move towards each other, some kind of collision takes place and earthquakes happen. Now in case of this map, I can tell you where exactly the earthquakes take place. देखो, in this case, Pacific plate is moving towards the North American plate, and North American plate is also moving towards each other. When these two collided, what happened? There will be an earthquake, and because of their collision, we have a mountain range here, and we have a mountain range here, because these are moving towards each other. Similarly, if you know, the Eurasian plate and the Indo-Australian plate move towards each other, and that is why we have a mountain range here, and that is why this zone, the Nepal zone or the Himachal and the Ladakh and the Kashmir zone in India, are very prone to earthquake, because this is the zone of convergence boundary where two plates are colliding with each other, right? So this is, hi Dharna, hello Sandeep, good evening, good evening. I hope Samya, your doubt was solved, right? So these are different types of plates, and now we will see that, as I just told you, that there are waves which are generated, right? And these waves actually tell us so much about the earth, right? So that is why we generally try and record them. So these waves, once they reach the surface of the earth, they are recorded at the seismic stations. So basically there are labs where these waves get recorded. To record them, we have different instruments which are called as seismographs, and these waves help us to understand about the interior of the earth. Now, how are these waves generated? I told you that once there is an earthquake, as soon as the two plates collide with each other, from the epicenter or from the focus or hypocenter, waves are generated. So only when there is an earthquake like situation, waves will generate, and these waves get recorded by human beings on an instrument called seismograph in a seismic station, and these waves help us to understand about the interior of the earth. How? Because these waves are traveling inside the earth before coming to the surface. So once they travel through the earth, they reach the surface and they tell us that, okay, so we have been studying extensively to understand. So we see that seismic waves can be broadly classified into two types. Okay, seismic waves can be of two types. One is body waves. Okay, one is body waves and the other one is surface waves. The other one is surface waves. So seismic waves, the waves that are generated because of earthquake, these waves are of two types which are recorded. So we see that the waves of energy are caused by the breaking of the rock within the earth or an explosion. These are the energy that travel through the earth and are recorded by seismographs. So of course waves क्या होते हैं? Energy ना, like sound waves, energy that travels. So body waves and surface wave, as the name suggests, so the waves that travel inside the surface of the earth, they travel inside the earth's surface. They are known as body waves. Okay, they are known as body waves. Now there are some waves which do not travel inside the earth, but they travel on the surface of the earth. Of course, as the name suggests, they are surface waves, and as the name says, body waves, the waves which travel inside the earth. So basically two broad categories of the waves. So please don't get confused. What are waves? These are the ones which are generated because once there is an earthquake, once there is a collision, once there is a collision between two rock or blocks, between two tectonic plates, once there is a sudden vibration, if a rock block breaks down, of course there will be release in energy, and that energy will be transformed in the form of waves, and they will travel across the earth. That is the body wave. The body wave then comes in contact with the surface of the earth and passes on the energy to the surface, and then they turn into surface waves. So body waves and surface waves. Clear? Now we will talk about different types of body waves and surface waves. So as I just said, body waves, of course, travel through inner layers. Okay, so these are the waves which travel through the inner layers of earth. Now why is it so significant? Why do we think that this is so significant, that waves are traveling through the inner layers of Earth? Because we realize that no man has ever been to the inner part of the Earth. So this is an indirect source for us. Remember, we studied in this chapter that the indirect sources to learn about the interior of the earth, and seismic waves are one of them, because we ourselves cannot enter the interior of the earth. So we use the seismic waves, they travel inside the earth and they give us an insight on what actually lies inside the earth. What is there inside the earth? Is it solid or is it liquid? Is there a lot of metal? What is the density inside the earth? What is the temperature like inside the earth? And many questions that we have which are unsolved, right? Because we have not gone there. So we have to rely on different sources, and seismic waves are one of the most significant sources because these waves travel through the body of the earth. Hi Vanuja, how are you? Welcome to the class. This is a class chalo. So since new students are also joining, so I'll just simply tell you that this is a class of class 11th, a chapter. The chapter is interior of the earth, and from the book Fundamentals of Physical Geography, and we are talking about classification of earthquakes, right? So yeah, so बने रहो क्लास में, keep learning, keep growing, and also this is the Unacademy Humanities channel. I am Barsha Mukherjee. So in case अगर आप मुझे नहीं जानते हो तो please everyone please make sure this is Barsha Mukherjee, and you can also find my free classes on Unacademy app under the name of Barsha Mukherjee, right? So I am Barsha Mukherjee, everyone. Welcome to the class. This is how you can find me. This is the my username, Barsha Barsha Mukherjee, right? Barsha Mukherjee. And also once you join the Unacademy app, there are a lot of free classes, but to unlock the free classes, they ask you for a code. The code is written here. See, this is the code that is written here, Barsha Live. Okay, so this is the code, and also of course you can also join the plus or iconic subscription, because as I said, a lot of new batches are going on. There's Laksh batch going on. There are other batches which are starting for the new students who are joining the classes. So go ahead, check out the Unacademy app and use the code Barsha Life to unlock. Also, if you're going for a plus subscription or an iconic subscription, you can definitely use the code Barsha Live, BARSHALIVE, in order to get 10% extra off, right? Okay, moving on and continuing the topic, as I was saying, that why are these waves important? Because these waves help us in understanding a lot of untold mysteries. They solve those mysteries for us, and we don't even have to go there inside the earth, right? So now the body waves can be divided into two types. See, here it is body wave and surface wave. So surface wave only travel on the surface, right? And earthquakes radiate seismic energy as both body and surface waves. Now, body waves, okay, more important. Body waves, the waves which travel inside the body of the earth, interior of the earth, and it can be categorized into two types, P waves and S waves. Now what are P waves? So it is also known as primary wave. Now what is a primary wave? As the name itself suggests, primary matlab sabse pehle, right? Sabse pehle, primary or fastest. The waves which are the fastest and are the first ones to arrive at the seismic stations, the labs which are set up on the surface of the earth to record these waves. So the first wave that is recorded on the seismograph is the P wave, or the primary wave, the first kind of body wave. They are fastest kind of body wave. They arrive at the seismic station sabse pehle, the first ones to arrive, and also a very important characteristic is क्या चल रहा है यहाँ? I have no idea what's going on here, but please stop spamming students. Spam mat karo. Okay, so we see that these waves can pass through solid, rock, and fluid. Right? They can pass through any type of solids, they can pass through all types of fluids, and they can pass through gases as well, all medium. And therefore, they pass through all the different layers of earth, right? So they pass through all layers of the earth. They only simply, when the density changes, they also change they get refracted at times, but they pass through the all throughout the earth. So these are primary waves. And also we see that when these waves travel, right, the particles or the rock particles which surround the waves, they also move, they also have a different kind of a movement. And we realize that the movement, while the P waves are moving, the movement is more like a push and pull movement. So the P waves generally basically they push and pull the rock particles around them. And that is why, because they push and pull the objects, these P waves are also called as compressional waves. So for example, in your exam, you might get a question asking that which waves are also known as compressional waves, right? Or P waves are also known as, है ना? Such a question might come. So question आ जाएगा that which of the following waves are known as compressional waves? A, primary wave. B, secondary wave. C, Rayleigh wave. D, Love wave. Now you will have to find out the answer. So the answer is the P waves are known as compressional waves. Why are they known as compressional waves? Because when they move, when they pass by, the rock particles around them move in a push and pull manner. They push and pull the rock particles, right? And also there is one question which is also very important: the direction of wave propagation of the particles and the waves. So the direction of wave is, and the rock particles are always parallel or in the same direction in case of primary waves. So if the P waves are moving in this direction, then we always see that the particles around the P waves also move in the same direction. So the direction of wave propagation is same, right? So in case of primary waves, direction of wave propagation is same, right? So this is P waves that we were talking about. So quickly I will give you a recap. We see that P waves are also known as primary waves. They're the fastest waves. They're the first ones to arrive at the seismic stations, correct? जो सबसे पहले seismic station पर आते हैं, they're the first ones to arrive, and also they are recorded at the seismic stations. The first, they can pass through solid, liquid, and gases, all sort of medium. They are also known as compressional waves. Why? Because they push and pull the rock particles around them, and the direction of wave propagation of the P waves are same. So that means that the wave and the rock particles around P waves move in the same direction, right? I hope everyone understood this much. I hope this is clear to all of you, and therefore we will move on to the next topic, that is the S wave. So till now we were talking about the P waves, now we will talk about S waves. So it is somewhat opposite to that, of course. Now if primary waves are the fastest ones, this means that they are the second ones. They are not as fast as primary waves, and they are the second to arrive at the seismic station after primary. Now the most important trait of the seismic or the S waves is that they do not pass through liquid medium. Okay, what happens is that primary waves can pass through any medium, but S waves say that they will only pass through solid medium and not liquid medium. So what happens is this helps us in understanding the interior of the earth, because we see that P waves and S waves both travel like this, right? But this is P wave that I've just made, right? But in case of S waves, we see that they also travel like this along with P waves. Fine. But after this point, we don't get to see the S waves. So we see that, dekho, P waves are traveling here, but S waves, the ones which are shown with red color, they do not travel after this region. Now, with this, what do we understand? What do we understand by this? We realize that beyond this point, probably the core of the earth has liquid. That is why S waves are not traveling, isn't it? So these waves, as I said, they help us understanding the interior of the earth without even going there. So indirectly we know that the core of the earth is made up of liquid, isn't it? So earth का जो core है वो liquid है, correct or not? Right? So earth's core is made up of liquid, but also because of other evidences we realize that the outer core is made up of liquid and the inner core is made up of solid. Understood? And now we will talk about the direction of movement of particles. Now in case of S waves, it is again different from the P waves. So the S waves, while they are moving like this, the particles move up and down. Okay, in case of P waves, we saw that the particles moved along with the P waves, correct? But in case of S waves, we are seeing that the particles are moving up and down. Right here you can see there is a up and down movement of particles. Right? And therefore, what happens when the question comes about the direction of wave propagation? We see that it is perpendicular. S waves moving in horizontal manner. If the S waves are moving in horizontal manner, then we see the particles moving in a perpendicular manner. So what is the direction of wave propagation? It is perpendicular. Correct? Anything you want to ask? Any doubts? Please go ahead and ask. अगर आप लोगों को डाउट है तो प्लीज जल्दी से मुझे पूछो. I'll give you 2 minutes to go through this and ask me questions. Anyone? Anything? Also, because your messages reach late, so definitely if you have any doubts, please go ahead and ask. And yeah, if you are liking the class, please go ahead, like the video. ओके अगर आप लोगों को क्लासेस अच्छी लग रही हैं तो डेफिनेटली गो अहेड एंड लाइक द वीडियो. So I'm waiting for the comment section and I'm seeing anyone who is watching. If you have a doubt, please go ahead and let me know if you have any doubts. So moving on, I see. Let's move on. Let's see. What is the next topic that we have? Now we have come across, see, we were talking about body waves so far, right? So the body waves are of two types, P and S, those which travel inside the earth. Next we have surface waves, right? The ones which travel on the surface of the earth. What happens generally is that these waves, the body waves, they travel in the interior of the earth and then they come in contact with the surface rocks. the rocks that are on the surface of the earth. Once they come in contact with the surface rocks, they transfer their energy to the surface waves, and then they basically transform into surface waves, right? So these are the ones which travel on the surface of the earth, and at the same time these are the waves which are the slowest, with the lowest frequency, है ना? तो सबसे स्लो होते हैं, and that is why, because they are traveling on the surface of the earth and they are traveling very slowly. So vibrations are going on, है ना? vibrations हो रहे हैं और बहुत slowly surface से जा रहे हैं, so they cause the maximum destruction. Okay, so these waves also cause maximum destruction when we talk about destruction or loss of human life and property. जब हम human life और property के loss के बारे में discuss करते हैं, so हम देखते हैं that these waves, the surface waves, cause the maximum destruction, and these waves are the last ones to be recorded on the seismic station. So any damage that we see is caused by earthquake on the surface of the earth, be it loss of life, loss of property, damage of road, etc., communication, transportation network. It is all because of the surface waves, correct? Because the rest of the waves are moving inside the earth. Right? Hi Rishabh, how are you? Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the class. Those who are watching the live class, please, if you're liking it, go ahead and like the video. है ना? Okay. Moving on. So देखो, also surface waves can be also divided into two types for the Rayleigh and love wave, but it is not in our syllabus, so we will not go much in depth. But again, surface waves can be divided into Rayleigh and love waves. But moving on to a very important topic, that is shadow zone. Now a lot of students have a lot of query and a lot of doubt regarding the shadow zone कि भाई shadow zone क्या है ना? कि shadow zone से क्या, how does a shadow zone is, how is a shadow zone created, where is a shadow zone located, right? Is it a fixed zone or it keeps on changing, or a shadow zone, is there a zone where there is a shadow? What exactly is a shadow zone? So हम देखते हैं that, as I just explained, that we see P waves traveling throughout the earth, throughout the interior of the earth. Can you see here, right? But if you see very closely, you will realize that the red lines disappear after some time. So the red lights disappear after this point, correct? So till here you can see the red lines, that is the S waves. But beyond this point, see, there is no red line, which means that the S waves do not travel. They do not travel beyond this point. Now, why do they not travel beyond this point? Because probably after this point the core starts, and probably there is liquid, and we already know that S waves cannot travel through liquid, so we do not or we are unable to record the seismic waves after this point, correct? So now also we know that beyond 145 degrees we will never be able to see S waves. Now, is it a fixed area? No, it's not. So wherever we have our epicenter of the earthquake, now if the epicenter of the earthquake lies here, the waves will also start moving from this region, right? And from this region, wherever we have our 145 degree, the shadow region will start from there. Now, if in case the epicenter of the earthquake lies here, then our 145 degree angle will be somewhere else. So then the S waves will travel through this region. The S waves will move from this region, and after a point when it reaches the 145 degree angle here, it will not travel any further, है ना, तो ये उसका फिर shadow zone will change. Correct. So is that clear? So epicenter, on the basis of the epicenter, we can find shadow zones. Also, how do we record these shadow zones? So we see that on the entire earth, we have our seismic stations located at different regions. So wherever there is an epicenter, the seismic station records it. Wherever there is a shadow zone, the seismic station records it. So shadow zones keep on changing on the basis of the emergence of epicenter, on the basis of the earthquake. The epicenter, wherever the epicenter is, from there the waves will start moving and it will stop moving, or it will stop entering a region once it reaches the core where there is liquid. Now that is the story of S waves. But we also see that every time inside the earth there is one more zone which lies between 105 degrees to 145 degrees. And that zone is known as shadow zone of P wave. So there is also one zone through which the P waves do not travel. And we don't know why. That is a mystery. पता ही नहीं क्यों ऐसा होता है, पर ऐसा हो रहा है. And why can't we be very sure कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Because we don't have any other means so far to find out about the problem that is happening, that is going on. So that is why this is one reason that we don't know that why is there a shadow zone of P wave. We already know about the shadow zone of S wave because it does not travel through liquid. Hello Amrit, how are you? Good evening. Welcome to the class. Hi Vanuja, I thought you just left. Ria is also here. Hi Ria Bhargav, how are you? I thought Ria has left the class. Ria just said bye bye and everything. And what happened, Ria? Sorry, Vanuja. So Vanuja, were you saying bye to Suyash or what? Anyway, so everyone, did you understand the concept of emergence zone? Did you all understand the concept of emergence zone? Please do let me know. If you have any doubts, please go ahead, ask me. Also, I will wait for a minute for you all to type anything that you want to discuss or anything you want me to repeat from the previous portion. I will do that. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to go ahead and tell me if you have a doubt. Also, if you're liking the class, you can appreciate me. Right? You can also you can also like the video. And if you want to attend more such free classes, see, every day from tomorrow onwards, from today onwards actually, we are going to have a 6 p.m. class for the next 4 days. राइट हम लोग पूरा ये सिलेबस कंप्लीट करने वाले हैं. इस चैप्टर को वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी इन डिटेल. सो डेफिनेटली एवरी डे 6 p.m. you will find a class with me on Unacademy Humanities channel of YouTube. Sounds good? So every day 6 p.m. note it down. है ना? You will get a class, a notification of class with Barsha ma'am. Now, if you have any doubts, or if you want to say something, discuss something, please go ahead and ask. I will give you some time to type, and I will also wait for the messages to reach because there is little lag over here. So I am refreshing continuously, constantly. If you have doubts, go ahead and ask. Anything that you would like to discuss. Okay, while I wait, while you all are, if you have doubts, if you are sending away your doubts, we can move further and discuss a very, very interesting topic, that is the types of earthquakes. Last topic for the day, types of earthquake. Now, not all the earthquakes that we experience on earth are based on this type of collision of plates. Not all sorts of earthquakes that we see or experience or hear about are happening because of the tectonic plates, collision of tectonic plates. There can be some other types of volcanoes which are caused by different activities. Some can be natural and others can be also man-made or human activities. Because of man-made or because of human activities also, we see that some kind of earthquakes do occur. First, of course, the first one has to be a tectonic earthquake. Of course, so what is a tectonic earthquake? When different plates, when two plates move towards each other, isn't it? When two plates move towards each other, when there is a collision between the plate boundaries, and then there is vibration, you know, then there is some kind of vibration, and that leads to generation of waves, which leads to shaking of earth. Simple, ये तो हमने पढ़ा हुआ था. So this is tectonic earthquake, where the rocks slide against on a fault plane. But even apart from this type of earthquake, there is one more earthquake which is also happening or causing because of natural activities, right? Because of volcanic eruption. Now, in case of volcanic eruption, you will be wondering that ma'am, उसमें तो already lava निकल रहा है, और कितना कुछ ऐड करवाओगे आप, है ना? तो sorry, not in my hand, है ना? So देखो क्या होता है, when we know that how the magma travels, the magma which is inside the earth travels towards the surface of the earth with huge thrust and great force. Now just imagine the magma is defying the gravity and moving towards the surface of the earth. Then it blasts off the surface of the earth, creates a mouth, and then there is an explosion. So there is so much of force that is being exerted here, which causes the nearby rocks to vibrate, because magma is coming out through the pipe, through the vent with great force, and that leads to a volcanic earthquake. So along with the blast, when the magma breaks off the surface and blasts off, out in the atmosphere, it leads to the shaking of the earth, which is then known as a volcanic earthquake. Clear? This is the second type of earthquake. Yes, Deepak, due to tectonic plate collision, we have tectonic earthquake. Due to the volcanic eruption, because there is a huge thrust and huge force taking place, it is known as a volcanic earthquake. Then thirdly, we have collapse earthquake. Now what is a collapse earthquake? तो देखा जाता है that sometimes when there is mining activity going on, so there are a lot of mines, okay, there is a lot of mineral, there's a lot of mineral in here. Now people start, they enter one region and they start basically digging out minerals from this region, right? What happened? All of a sudden, because this whole region now has no support, it is hollow. So what will happen? This surface, this portion of the mine will collapse, will come down. For example, if simple घर, जैसे घर की छत होती है ना, if this is one region and here I have this support, what if I remove my hand from below the pentab? The pentab will come crashing down, and if a huge area of the surface comes down because of hollow space created due to mining, that will also lead to the vibrations, to the creation of vibrations, and that will lead again to the shaking of the nearby region. This type of earthquake is known as a collapse earthquake. Okay, this type of earthquake is known as a collapse earthquake. Next we have an explosion earthquake. For example, if there has if a nuclear explosion has taken place, if any sort of bomb blast has happened, that also leads to vibration to the nearby areas. For example, recently we saw that in the US, in the Pacific Ocean, or the in the Pacific only, I guess, US Army actually experimented. They, in the middle of the ocean, they did a kind of an explosion which led to the earthquake. Similarly, in last year in Lebanon, Beirut, some kind of chemical explosion took place, and because of which the nearby region experienced earthquake. So that is called as an earthquake which has happened or caused because of an explosion. It is called as explosive earthquake. And the last one is reservoir induced earthquake. So what happens is the earth always tries to maintain a balance, but if we make huge reservoirs or dams on one part of the earth and try and change the course of the river and start basically start reserving water in one place, the pressure on the land will increase on that particular region, and that will lead to the shaking of the earth, which is known as reservoir induced earthquake. Right, so these are the types of earthquake that happens because of some man-made or some um, environmental or natural reasons. Right. Anyone doubts? Please go ahead. We have last 1 or 2 minutes. अगर आप लोगों को कुछ पूछना है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं. So this was the 1 hour session where we talked everything all about earthquakes. Hello, meet brothers. कैसे हो? क्या चल रहा है? How's life? So yeah. So that is all, everyone. I think all of you enjoyed and understood. We